Hi, welcome to Tuts Plus. My name is Bob Flisser, and if you need to insert videos into Microsoft PowerPoint, any version, Windows or Mac, I've got some really great stuff to show you. In any version of PowerPoint, you can insert videos from your hard drive. In the 2013 version of PowerPoint on Windows, you can insert videos directly from a cloud source. If you're on a Mac, you can insert videos from iMovie. And I'll also show you how you can format your videos, maybe change brightness and contrast, change the in point and out point, and make some other adjustments also. Now, one thing you might be asking is, oh, okay, are you going to show me how to insert video from YouTube? And the answer is yes, but Microsoft removed the easy ways of embedding YouTube videos in PowerPoint. That's for licensing reasons. But I will show you a workaround for it in the Windows version. It unfortunately will not work on the Macintosh. The first way I'll show you to insert video is from a content slide. Now, I have a brand new blank PowerPoint presentation here, and this is showing me a title slide, obviously. So let's go and change that. I'm on the Home tab here, and I'm going to click the Layout button, and let's say I just want a plain title and content. So I'll choose that. And you could give it a title if you want. Anything is fine. And because this is a content slide, in the middle of this content area, we have these 6 icons. The very last one, if you roll your mouse pointer over it, that's to insert video. That icon might look slightly different depending on which version of PowerPoint you have, but let's click it. Now I'm on the 2013 version, so here I have a choice. I could insert from a file on my hard drive, or I could insert from a cloud source like Microsoft OneDrive. Now, if you have an older version of Windows PowerPoint, when you click that button, you're simply going to get a regular insert, like a file open dialog box. And the same holds true with the Mac. And inserting something from a cloud source is just like inserting something from your hard drive. It's just somewhere else, not on your computer. So I'm going to click over here to Browse. And I have these 2 video files in a folder on my desktop. Now, if you want to follow along with this tutorial using your own video files, you can go right ahead. Or if you want, you can download the zip file included with this tutorial on the Tuts Plus website, and that will contain these 2 video files and also a picture file that we'll use later on. Now, because I'm in Windows, I'm probably going to choose the WMV. That's a Windows Media video file. If you're on the Mac, you probably want to choose the MOV file. That's QuickTime. I'm just going to choose the WMV. I'll double click it. And boom, it just gets inserted right onto the slide. A couple of things are happening here that are pretty neat. I want to draw your attention to it. Number one, on the bottom, we have some play controls, and these controls will actually work right now as we're creating the PowerPoint presentation, and these play controls will also work when you present the slideshow. Also, we have 2 tabs up here on the ribbon, Format and Playback, and we'll take a look at those a little bit later on. This whole video runs only about 14 seconds. If you want, you can play it. It's just some animation I created in Adobe After Effects. And it fades out. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so what if you want to insert video onto a slide that does not have one of those content placeholders? Well, let's go back here to the Home tab. And over here, I'll click New Slide. And from the drop-down, I'm going to choose Blank. Now, you might be tempted to choose Title Only, but what'll happen is when we insert the video, it's going to take up the entire slide and cover your title. So let's choose Plain Blank. So now I'll insert a video. Because a video is something that I insert, I go up here to the Insert tab. Now, on the Mac, you don't have an Insert tab. You do have an Insert menu. I'll show you that in a little bit. Right now, let's go over here and click Video. And you see I have these 2 choices, online video or video on my PC. Now, don't get too excited about this online video. It doesn't mean YouTube or Vimeo or anything. It simply means find a video file up on a cloud source like Microsoft OneDrive. So once again, I'll choose Video on my PC. And here are the same 2 videos that I have. And I'll double click the same one, swirl. And now here it is. This is what I was saying a moment ago. It takes up the entire slide. So for you Mac users, let me show you how this works. One way is you can go to the Insert menu, down here to Movie, and choose Movie from File. And that'll give you a regular old insert dialog box, just like what you saw, and we can double click and put it in there. The other option you have here is the movie browser. When you choose the movie browser, you get this little pop-up window, and you see it's more than just movies. You could put in photos, audio, and other items, but because we chose movie, we're on this movies button, and you see if you have a movie in iMovie or iPhoto or Photo Booth, you can go right there and insert it. Now, since I put my file here in the movies folder on the hard drive, I have that swirl right there. I can double-click it to play it and preview it, or I can click this button to preview it. When I want to put it actually onto the page, I can simply take it here from the browser and just drag it onto the page. So let's take a look at some options for editing. Back here in Windows, I have the video selected. I'm going to go up here to the Format tab. And some pretty neat features. We could go over here to Corrections, and you see over here we have choices for brightness and contrast. And as you roll the mouse over it, you can get a preview. Now, if you're using a Mac, you won't get this live preview. You actually have to click to apply it. But if you don't like it, you could always undo. Press Command-Z or Control-Z in Windows, and you can see that. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But you notice down over here on bottom it says Video Corrections Options. Let me click that. Now, because I'm using the 2013 version, I have this Format Video task pane on the right. If you're using the 2010 or 2007 version in Windows, you'll get this instead of on the right, you'll get this as a dialog box, and the same thing on the Mac. And over here, I just have more fine-tuned controls if I want to change, let's say, the brightness or the contrast. I could do it here without taking a preset. Also, this recolor, I'll show you recolor up here in a moment. This recolor up here is the same as recolor there. And if you change anything and you decide you don't like it, you could always hit the reset button. So let's take a look at recoloring. I'll go up here, and here instead of just brightness and contrast, I can actually apply colors. And again, I can see previews of these, and I can even choose regular colors. And just like before, if you're using the Mac, you will not get these live previews. You actually have to click one of these to see it, and then you can undo if you like. This video color options, when I click that, it doesn't look like anything has changed. That's because this Format Video task pane is already there. If you're on an older version, you'll just get that dialog box again. I'm not going to change anything here. I just want you to see it. So I'm just going to click this little X here and close that task pane. Next thing I want to show you here is this poster frame. Now here's what that poster frame is all about. Right now the video is selected. Let me just click on the background so it's deselected. This image that you see is the first frame of the video. The poster frame simply means what image do you see before the video plays. And maybe for whatever reason you don't want it to be the first frame. Maybe you want it to be a frame that's somewhere farther along the line. Or maybe you want it to be an image that's completely different. That's what we can do. So let me make sure the thing is selected. And I'm going to go over here to, I don't know, I'll choose maybe about 3 seconds something. And I got this little swirl, and maybe I want that to be the poster frame. So what I do is I go up here to poster frame, and I choose current frame. Doesn't look like anything's happened. Let me click off here on the background. Now you notice that when I click on the background, that frame stays. Watch what happens when I play. It immediately leaves the poster frame and starts playing from frame 1. And if I click back, once again, I see the poster frame. So what if I want the poster frame to be a separate image? Well, again, make sure you have it selected and make sure you're on the Format tab. Go back to poster frame, and this time choose Image from File. And if you want to use your own image, go right ahead. If you downloaded the class files from the Tuts Plus website, you'll have a picture in there that you can use. And because I'm using the 2013 version, I have all these choices. I can insert from a file. I could go to office.com and use some of their royalty-free photos and illustrations. It's beyond the scope of this course. I could go to Bing search engine, and I could search for something. And because I'm using Microsoft OneDrive, that's in the cloud, I can go there. Also, because I have Facebook and Flickr configured, I can go there as well. This is the 2013 version. If you're using an older version, if you're using 2011 Mac version, you won't have all these options. It'll just be a regular old insert box. And that's what I'll click over here. I'll click Browse. And here is this rainbow.jpg. That's what's in the zip file on the Tuts Plus website. I'll double click it. And I have this rainbow. And incidentally, that was in my backyard about a year ago. And I'll click off it. And now we can see that. So what happens when I play is I roll the mouse over, I click play, and immediately that first image, the poster frame goes away and the video plays. And you can see there's the poster frame and the thumbnails. Here, I'm just kind of interrupted at about 2.5 seconds. When I click on the background, it rewinds and I see that image poster frame again. If you decide that you don't want a poster frame, what you do is you select it and back on the Format tab here, go to Poster Frame, and then you can choose Reset, and then you're back to where you were. If you made a bunch of changes, you could always go and reset the design. If you change the size, you could reset the design and size. Okay, let's take a look at a few other things here. Video styles, these are frames, that is like picture frames. And notice as I roll over these, you can see the framing around the edge of the video is changing. That's pretty cool. And again, on the Mac, you have these options, but you just don't see the live preview. But here's what's really, really cool is you see this tiny little unobtrusive video shape? Click that, and these are the same regular shapes that you see when you're drawing things. These can be masks for your video. So you could choose any shape. I'm going to choose something wacky like this little starburst explosion there. And look at that. It's actually masked the video. So I could click off it, and it's still there. I roll over and I play. You notice that the video plays inside that mask. That's really great. If you decide that maybe you want a different shape, you could just leave it selected. Go back up here. Maybe choose something else. Maybe I want more of a spiky badge than an explosion. And then it's changed. Of course, it's a little distorted because that's in proportion and the video is not in proportion to that starburst, but you get the idea. But I'm going to reset this to regular old boring rectangle just to make it easier to play with. Let's take a look at some playback options. So I'm going to go over here to the Playback tab. Now the Playback tab is only in the Windows versions. If you're on the Mac, you have a playback button on the left side of the ribbon. I'll show you that in a moment. First option I want to show you here is trim video. Maybe you don't want to play the entire video. Maybe you want to start a few seconds in and you want it to end before the actual end. What you do is click Trim Video, and you have this little window here, and you see you got this little green bar on the left and this red bar on the right, and in the middle you can actually see the audio waveform. So what I'll do is I'll take this green bar and I'll drag it in to the left, so the video will start at about 2.3 seconds. I'll take this ending, this red bar, and I'll drag it to the left, and there we go. So the video will end. Actually, let me make it really short, so I'll play it with you. You don't have to watch the whole darn thing. And there we go. So now I have just a few seconds. If you don't want to deal with the green and red bars, you could actually set the start time over here and set the end time over there. You could preview it there. But let me just OK it. Doesn't look like anything's happened, but you notice the first frame is different. Let me just click the play button. And you see it plays just those few seconds. And if you decide later on, oh, maybe you don't want to trim it after all, you could always go back up here and change it. So you see, we haven't deleted anything by trimming it. It's completely non-destructive. It's just a formatting option. You can always change it. I'll OK it. And now you see the whole thing is going to play normally again. And if you want, whether or not you've trimmed the video, you can have it fade in at the beginning, fade out at the end, and that will fade video and sound together. You might not always like the results. I've found that many times fade in or fade out just results in a lot of repeated frames and doesn't always look great. And how does the video play, or when does the video play? You can choose to play it on click. That is, you have to click the video, or it'll play automatically when the slide gets there. And you could also set any of these options if you want. Let me show you how this works on the Mac. On the Mac here, you have the same styles like before. You have some borders that you can apply and the same corrections and color and all that. But instead of having a whole tab for playback options, you have this little button there. Notice that you don't have as many options as you do in Windows. And as far as that stuff that you just saw about when does it start and all that, you have this little drop down here, and you have only two options: start on click or start automatically. And you do have the option for poster frame, same as in Windows, but notice that there's no option to actually trim the video. Okay, so what about inserting or embedding a video from YouTube? Well, first let's just create a blank slide. So I'm going to go to the Home tab, New Slide, and again, I'll choose a blank slide. And keep in mind, this will work in Windows only. This will not work on the Mac. If you want to embed a YouTube video on the Mac, you have to get some third-party utilities, and those tend to violate YouTube's terms of service, so I'm not even going to go there in this tutorial. The workaround in Windows requires a little bit of programming technique. And you notice that I have in PowerPoint a developer tab. Now you may not have it on yours. Let me show you how you get it, because you absolutely have to have that up in order to do this technique. Put your mouse pointer anywhere on the ribbon bar, click the right mouse button, and from the pop-up choose Customize the Ribbon. And this will simply bring you into the PowerPoint options to the Customize Ribbon section. And over here on the right, you see you have this developer. You want to make sure that there's a checkbox in there. So if there's no checkbox, you simply click it. And that's it. Click OK. And now you have this developer tab. We'll come back to that in a moment. What we need to do now is find a YouTube video. Now, you could use any old YouTube video that you like. I'm going to use a YouTube video that I did for Tuts Plus on creating motion paths in PowerPoint. I'm using Google Chrome, but you could use any browser. It doesn't really matter. When you find the YouTube video that you like, go up here and click in the URL so it's highlighted, and then copy to the clipboard. You could press Control-C, or you can right-click the mouse and choose Copy, whatever you like. You just need to have that. Now we're done with the browser. I'll just minimize it, close it. So let's go back here in the Developer tab. We need to insert an object. We're going to insert a Flash object. So you see we have this Controls section. We have this little tools, a screwdriver and a wrench, and it says More Controls. Click that. You get this little pop-up. This is in alphabetical order. I'm going to scroll down to the S's, and there is the Shockwave Flash object. You want to select that. Click OK. All that happens is your mouse pointer becomes a crosshair. So I'm going to just drag a box like that, and when I let go, I get a box with an X in it. Okay, well now what? Now that we have this object, you see you have properties. You could right-click and choose properties from the pop-up menu, or you can choose properties here. And these are all of the properties of this box. And what you want is, you see over here, I'll zoom in for you, it says Movie. You want to click over here where it says Movie and paste. So you could press Control-V, or you can right-click and choose Paste, whatever floats your boat, and you've got that in there. We have to do a little bit of editing. And you see over here where it says Watch. I'm going to select, I want to delete. See all of this stuff where it says Watch, V equals. I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to replace it with V/. So we have youtube.com/V/ whatever that code is. Now you could leave that there if you like, but if you want the video to autoplay, you need to add a little bit more. So I'm just going to cursor here to the end of that code, and I'm going to type in ampersand autoplay equals 1, the number 1. So you want that whole thing in this box to the right of movie. So just to make sure you got that, here you have an example of what the original URL looks like, youtube.com/watch, etc. And you want to edit that out to looking like this with /v/ whatever. Now that code, that MUO, etc., that's for my particular video that I chose. If you choose a different video, then you'll have another code. But that's basically what it is, and that ampersand autoplay equals 1 at the end to make sure that the video autoplays. We don't need this properties box anymore, so I'll close it. And it doesn't really look like anything has happened, and nothing actually will happen until you run the slideshow. Now, when I press Shift F5, that brings me into this slide, and for the purposes of this training, I have to remove the autoplay. Hi, welcome to Tuts Plus. My name is Bob Flisser, and I want to show you some cool features of animation. And you see it actually plays. And now I'm done, so I can just escape out of it. And now that the video ran at least once, see, instead of that white box with an X, we have this kind of black screen there. You may actually need to run this a few times before the thing actually looks right. So if you're going to play this for an audience, you want to run this a few times on your own before the audience gets in. So now you know several ways of inserting and modifying video in various versions of PowerPoint for Windows and Macintosh. And PowerPoint really does have a lot of really great features for inserting and modifying videos. So you see, if you have videos on your hard drive, on your local network, maybe in cloud storage somewhere, iMovie, iPhoto, all these different places you can put it in. And if you're on the Windows version, you can even embed from YouTube. And just remember, all the features you want in an actual video, not embedded from YouTube, is in the Format tab and the Playback tab up here on the ribbon bar, or on the Format Movie tab of the Macintosh. So I hope you found all this helpful, and once again, my name is Bob Flisser for Tuts Plus, and thanks again for watching.